Welcome back to another Take the Lead podcast. I am your host, Tara Chantel, and today we are going to talk about that bag talk session, get intimate with the spiritual bag within. I have the honor to be in this lovely space with David. He is a husband, a father, and an engineer, and also a filmmaker with a unique voice that just shows so much love to the culture, so much love to us, and just to uplift us. And I'm just so honored and appreciative to be in this space with you, David. Thank you.
No, thank you. I'm honored to be in the same space with you. So appreciate the opportunity.
You wrote, produced, you did it all with your projects. Project 8. Take us through that journey, because it's such a meaningful piece that you have presented, and it's a comedy as well. And I love how you incorporated laughter in this film, and it's actually educational, not just entertainment. And I love how you put those pieces together and dropping gems in Project 8. Take us through the process of creating this.
Okay, so I moved back from LA. I was living in LA from 2009 all the way up until 2018. And I moved back to my native state, which is Michigan, more specifically Detroit, in 2018. And I just didn't know whether or not I would be able to still film, because all of the resources that I used to do my previous projects was in LA, whether it was renting equipment or just looking for talent. So what happened was I was working for this company called BAE Systems, and they were working me a lot. I'm working like 60 plus hours a week. And it got to a point to where my wife was like, man, I've never seen you like this. You know, when you come home, it doesn't seem like you're present. And she said, hey, we moved back to Michigan. We're not living in California. We can survive off one income. And she said, just quit. And I was like, what? It was a foreign idea to me, because I had never walked away from a job without having something else waiting. You know, but my daughter had just been born, and I wanted to stay home and spend that time with her and my son. My daughter's 2 now, and my son is 4. So I just took 10 months off. And during those 10 months, we were able to purchase a couple of rental properties. And it just gave me a whole newfound perspective on life, so to speak. And that's where the birth of Project 8 came out of. And I was lucky enough to find these 2 people that star in it, Fatima Mitchum as well as June Shelton. They both reside in the state of Michigan. And we just kind of made it happen and put it together. So yeah, you're right. I wrote it, produced it, all of those things. I filmed it. I don't have a crew of people. It's just me and the actors on set, and we just made it happen over the course of, I think, like 3 or 4 months. We just shot every weekend.
Wow, that's incredible how you made no excuses to get this project done. It's
Yeah.
incredible. And I love how you put the truth in this story, and it's truly about your story and your life, and you just wrote it and presented it as a film to us. That's
Absolutely.
incredible.
Yeah. I wanted to make it as real as possible. In fact, when I met with Fatima, she had never acted before. I actually discovered her on YouTube, because she has her own blog, channel on YouTube, and her voice was just kind of captivating. And I was like, man, I found out she was from Detroit. I met with her, and she was like, you want me to act? What? She was shocked by that, but I told her the story. I told her how much it meant to me. And then she started crying during the meeting, the first meeting we ever had. And she doesn't mind me telling this. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, wow, if she can be vulnerable with me and she barely knows me, it's no telling what I can get out of her when we cut the camera on. So what happened is she started crying, because she was like, I love the fact that you're passionate about this, and I really want to help you bring this vision to fruition. But I'm pregnant. I'm 2 months pregnant. And I was like, what? Oh, man. And then at that moment, I said, you know what? Let's just put that in the story. So we ended up filming the story in sequence, right? And literally, once you get to the very last part, which is verse 8, she was like maybe 3 weeks away from having a baby.
Wow, I really thought it was a prop belly.
No, that was her real belly. So that was a challenge in itself, because it'd be times on set where she would get irritable, understandably so, and might forget some of her lines. And I've dealt with a pregnant woman. My wife was pregnant twice, and the actor June, who was in it, he doesn't have any kids, never had a pregnant wife or anything like that. So it'd be like, hey, Fatima, why are you getting the attitude with us? And I'm like, shut up, man, just shut up.
creating life here.
Yeah, just let her do her thing. She has she can go in on this as much as she chooses to, because she still pushed through it. She did her thing, and she did that all while carrying a baby, which further proves how beautiful and how incredible women are. Like, they the closest thing to God, you know. So
Yes, and that is incredible how her strength is to persevere, to just keep going throughout all the obstacles that is creating a whole human inside of us. Like, I commend sister. She handled it with grace and ease.
facts, man. Yeah, she's and never acted before. Let me just mention that. So,
And
yeah.
I love that you discovered her and was so willing to give her this platform and give her a chance to just express her creative self. Your actors have incredible chemistry with each other. How do
Yeah.
you pick your people to work with and collaborate?
That's the biggest thing for if you're trying to shoot something in this low budget, like, let's say for me, I do everything, so it probably cost me roughly 3,000, and most of that money is spent on finding the music, the placements, and
Really?
paying those folks so I can license the music and put it in a project. But I'm doing everything. So in order for me to cover up whatever deficiencies people see, chemistry makes up for that, because it makes you forget about all of those other things, especially when you're doing something that's low budget. So the biggest thing for me is to get two people together. And I got Fatima and I got June. We met at a restaurant in downtown Detroit, and we stayed there for hours. And just to see them talking to each other as if they were like college roommates or
Wow.
something like that, I was like, oh, that's it. But if that hadn't worked, then I would have had to, go back to the drawing board until I found people with the right chemistry. And that was the same approach that we took in 9 months after too. So
Yes, 9 months had incredible chemistry as well. And the actors that you had in that film is flourishing. So you have an
yeah,
eye for like special people who has this gift.
yeah. I mean, that's all it takes, is just people who, I want people that represent the folks in the world who don't feel represented in media, right? Have an everyday look, beautiful people inside and out, just have a certain energy and a spark. But yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. When I did 9 months after, my friend Marcus Dupree, who starred in the movie, he's been my best friend since college. So
Wow.
that whole story of going through the breakup, the ups and downs of that, relapse and getting back together, only to find out that you're not meant for each other, that happened to me in college. So when I wrote the story and sent it to him, and we both were living in LA at the time, he's still there. He was like, "Man, this your story," and I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of write from the heart.
Heart, literally
I
the
don't know
heart.
I don't know any other way to do it." And that's probably the reason why I'm able to get the stuff out on paper so quick, because it comes from a real place. And that's probably why it takes me a year or two before I do my next project, because I got to live life a little bit and experience things. But we needed to find a young lady, and that's where we found Javicia. And Javicia is killing it. I mean, I remember when we were in the middle of shooting that project, I think we were on like month 5. She had just booked God Friended Me, which was on CBS. They had 2 seasons of that. And she's also on another show called Family Business on BET. And then she just booked Batwoman, right? So
What?
which is huge. She's like the first Black woman to be booked as the lead in that, and it just kind of like, to see
Wow.
her just catapult and take it to that next level. It's just amazing. But all of these people that I work with, I see them as stars already, so it wasn't a
Yeah.
shock to me.
Yes, real recognize real. That's
Yeah, yeah,
It's just that simple. It's just that
yeah,
simple. And I love how you tell your stories by the truth, but you do it all from
yeah,
crew to writing. It's
yeah.
like you handle it with so much ease. Do you have any challenges and how do you overcome them during the filming process?
The challenge, yeah, I mean, it's a challenge. That's why you really have to pick people who have chemistry, because even when I'm filming it, sometimes people will ask, like, "Hey, well, how did I do? How was that take?" And I'm like, "Well, I can't. When I'm filming, I'm literally looking at the framing of it, so I can't really see your performance. But what I do is hear it. So if it doesn't sound authentic to me,
Mhm.
then that's when I'll give them notes,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of times I just make people comfortable. So I'll keep the camera rolling for like minutes before I even start filming something. Or sometimes I'll throw out a scenario and say, "Hey, just talk about something." And then, all right, at some point I want you to work your way to the script, and then by the time they get to the script, it doesn't even feel like they're reading off a paper. So that's the biggest thing, is to create film, but make it feel, it's like a more, I don't know, like a more, it's like reality TV, but a bit classier, a bit,
Yeah.
not to say the reality TV isn't classy, but this is more rooted in something real, because reality TV has somehow gotten to the point to where it feels choreographed. So, but yeah, that's kind of the thing for me, is to make it as real as possible, and even as real as possible for the people who are participating. Yeah,
Yeah.
but the challenges though would be time, because having a 9 to 5, doing the engineering thing, doing the real estate stuff now with the investment properties, having 2 kids, and having a wife who's a dentist. She has her own career. That's the more challenging part, but it takes a village. I got, great parents. I got great in-laws who kind of help us, may watch the kids from time to time to give me and the wife the break that we so need at the time. And then my wife is just a trooper, man. I mean, she'll be like, "Hey, go do your thing. Don't worry about us. I got it. I'm gonna take them to the park," because she knows how present I like to be and involved in everything. So I just got a good support system.
You do. You got the truth behind you. You
Straight
got
up,
the
man. Straight
truth.
up.
I'm telling you, wifey is holding it down, and just
Yeah, yeah,
it's incredible. And I just love seeing Black love like this. You're
yeah.
just in such a light, and how you tell your story and showing Black love, because I feel like Hollywood, we don't see that. We see ourselves as slaves.
The whole reason why I started filming my own stuff is because of like a lot of the roles that I was auditioning for and getting. I'm like, man, this can't be. But instead of being a person who would complain about it, I just decided to take that energy and put it into changing my own reality. So you're right, man. A lot of us are portrayed and not so positive lights, but it's up to us to create more so that we can you know add that balance.
And the key word that you said, instead of complaining, you're just gonna create it, and just
Yeah.
creating your own lane. And in Black media, we need that more than ever. We need to have ownership, because we don't own any of the production and the filmmaking. We own about 1%.
Nothing. And if you think, like, sometimes we have a little wave and a trend going where, of course, Black is popular and profitable, which it's always been. I think Hollywood is just catching up to it. But what happens when that trend is no longer there, and then vampires or werewolves become the next trend or whatever, right? So it's not secure until you actually own it. And that's the reason why I left Hollywood, because I realized, like, man, I don't want to work for nobody, not
Wow.
doing what I love doing. So I'll just take it back home and then kind of give back to the city to help make me who I am. So
And build
it
you
helped
up
make me
and
who I am.
mold you. Yeah, you actually lived in LA and been in Hollywood. And
Yeah.
I hear just a lot of horror stories that just
Phew.
tip me over,
Yeah,
the edge,
yeah.
where that it is so important for us to create this own lane and to give back and give platforms to people, because you're putting people in position to win and just to continue to go up. What is your thoughts on Hollywood and how they treat people?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, and that's the thing. For me, it's about the work. It's not about the fame, but it's about progress, right? So it's not about how much I made off a project. I mean, those things are important. They do impact my life, especially if I make a ton of money or whatever. But for me, it's more so about getting better each time. And with Hollywood, you have people out there who literally idolize people to the point to where they may not necessarily see the greatness within themselves, right? So again, people will say, hey, if you want to become a big time actor, yeah, go to Hollywood. But what they're also saying to you is that if you want to work for somebody, and if you want your dreams to be dependent on somebody giving you a shot, then that's what you do. And me, I'm not a worker bee. I don't have that mentality. So I was like, this can't be the place for me, because I don't necessarily want my dreams to be dependent on somebody else giving me a shot. So if you place me in Alaska, if you place me in Mississippi, no matter where you place me, the tools are all here, and God gave me a gift that I'm continuing to perfect. So I can be anywhere. So why not be around my family and be able to be around my mother and my sister and help them in ways that I couldn't over the last 9 years being in California.
That is the truth. Oh, you just dropped that bag on us. That is the
Yeah.
truth. Because now, especially with social media, we can cut out the middleman. That is not the route we need to go to Hollywood to work underneath somebody and going through that system. We don't need that. We can have our own avenues in so many places now, and they have so many platforms, or we can create our own platform that we can show our films in and just do our projects and do what's true to us. And I
Yeah.
just commend
I
that.
mean, but look at you. You're in Atlanta. You got a whole manual out, right? That you've done to sort of help people and just positive affirmations. Every interview that I've seen that you've done, whether it be just you and another individual, you've done things in the format of like you and your girls sitting drinking a glass of wine, or just you doing your own solo thing. I mean, I went back and looked at the podcast or listened to the first one you did back in June of 2018, I believe,
Yeah.
like 18 minutes of you just talking and just telling us what your mission was and who you was and all of that stuff. And you didn't have to be in Hollywood to do all of those things. And then you come out with the Royal Purpose movie, which was perfect for me because don't get me wrong, I'm not against people dating outside of their marriage, right? Or race. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
not marriage. I don't think people should date. I'm sorry. Hey, listen, Bridget Tinsley, if you listen to this, I don't think people should date outside of their marriage. But dating outside of their race, I'm not against it, but I do understand the importance of the Black family structure. So that's why when I looked at the Royal Purpose and saw that, part of your purpose was to stop this dude from getting had by people who didn't belong to his community, and just that togetherness and us being able to trust each other and us being able to bring out the best in each other was important. This brother was lost, and then he became found. And oftentimes that's what happens with Black women, which is why I put that in Project 8. Like they hold us down more than anybody, irrespective of how disloyal we may be to them at times. There's times where we don't protect them like we should, and this, that, and the third, and they still kind of hold us down, and they're at the front lines anytime something happens to us at the hands of a crooked cop. But then something happens to Black women, then we're not holding them down the same. So we got to hold ourselves as Black men accountable and make sure that we preserve that family structure. So I had that segment in Project 8 where it lists all those women that had died at the hands of cops, and it was like, I don't know, maybe 9 of them that I had never heard of, and I had to blame myself for that because I know about the Mike Browns and the Trayvon Martins and so on and so forth. But anyway, that's the reason why I loved your film so much, because I'm like, man, she has a voice and she's speaking to me, and it's a serious subject, but yet you found a way to make it comical. And just your light and your spirit and all of that. I'm like, man, I wish she was in Michigan because we definitely be working together, but we still gonna work together.
Oh yeah,
so I'm putting that out there right now.
we working right now. And actually, I'm from Cleveland, so Michigan and
What?
Detroit. Yeah, that's right. That's
Oh
home.
shoot, you right next door. Okay.
Oh, I'm one call away. I'm one call away. And I love everything. It was, you just dropped so much, and I appreciate everything from like the first podcast, noticing just the why and how you said it's about the process and not about the fame, and we idolizing the wrong things. We are here to touch people. We are here to serve and just to speak our truth and just to do the right thing. And
Absolutely.
I noticed that out of all the races, Black men date outside their race the most. And I wanted to dissect that. Is it off of self-hatred? Is it off of if they view that as success? Why is that? I wanted to really dig in that inside of that.
It's a deep insecurity, when you think a deep rooted insecurity, and it's not necessarily our faults, but we do have to take accountability for it. When you think about slavery, when you think about the civil rights movement, when you think about the crack epidemic and all of these things that have affected the Black family structure, they all play a part in terms of the reason why we decide to go over there. We don't understand the importance of segregation, right? Because we're so busy trying to be accepted into something, because our definition of success means we live in this, predominantly white neighborhood, and we get to hang around these predominantly white billionaire people or whatever. A lot of times you see a lot of rappers that's hanging around NFL, white owners, and this, that, and the third. And for them, that signifies success. So it's rooted in insecurity. But if we understood how important it was for us to stick together and preserve the family structure and to practice group economics and all of these things, I would say the numbers wouldn't be as high. Let's say that.
It's like, and that is an actual fact that Black men are the most likely to date outside of their race. You know, and I applaud you as a Black man that you are with a Black queen that is,
Absolutely.
you see how much value she holds in your life, how a
Yes.
good one by your side can really affect you and just uplift you to be a better man overall.
Raised by two Black women, so I couldn't have it no other way. And I went to University of Michigan where it was lily white, and I was like, nope, this is what I want over here. So yeah.
Yeah, and I really feel like we as Black people, we should stay together. And I have to get on my sisters because we have to do better, especially with the music, the mainstream music that is dumbing us down left to right as
You
Black
talking about
women.
that WAP, that new joint?
That it's a lot of prostitution anthems that women are just singing along like, this is okay, buy me a bag and you get whatever you want. And we got to know our value as women. And then I feel like when women change, men have no choice but to pick up what you're dropping down. But if you don't have no value to yourself, then it's just gonna be a lost case and we all gonna be lost out here.
Absolutely. Let's hypothetically think about what you saying here. Like, what if all women, Black women, united and said, "All right, y'all, don't be giving up nothing unless they work for it, unless they are chivalrous, unless they are respectful and doing all of the things necessary to win your heart." You know what I'm saying? Doing everything necessary, valuing you, all of these just I guess archaic things that guys just don't do as a whole anymore. So if women kind of did that, then it would make it easier for all of the women, right? But what it does is it makes it hard for the real good ones who do have dignity and respect, because you have so many who are just kind of like trying to get a quick buck, or trying to pay they house note, or this that. You get what I'm trying to say. So I get what you're saying for sure.
It really, because now I see that men, just the thought process is viewing one woman as in such a high pedestal, like putting us all in a box that we all think this way, and that's just not the
Yeah,
case at all. And it's
it's not.
really a lost case right now. A lot of people are just lost in the sauce, and I love what you are doing, incorporating this entertainment, because Black people love entertainment. We love to
Yeah,
laugh at our pain, and how
yeah.
you make laughter and comedy and just truth in your scripts is so important for Black people to see. Black love, see two Black leads, dark skin, light skin, and all different complexions as this art, and showing that that's possible, because we are more visual people anyway to understand things.
Absolutely. These are the things when you look at Project A, we talk about you got strong Black women characters in there, and that's primarily because of my wife, because she'll read this stuff and be like, no, she ain't gonna respond like this. You better have her say this. So, it's hard for a Black man to write for a Black woman. You can't do it without the assistance of a Black woman telling you, hey, this ain't what I would say, or this doesn't represent us. You almost need that. So we have strong Black characters who persevere, who understand the meaning of loving themselves and working for themselves. And then you have the whole idea of I guess not being a corporate slave, but being bound to your corporate job, and not breaking free from that, so you can go off and pursue your purpose, right? Then we also talk about healthy eating. There's a few times where we mention, vegan stuff and eating healthy and not eating all of the meats and stuff out there that's not good for your body. And your project does that as well. I saw the scene where you had the Impossible Burger that you cooked for old boy, and he was like, "Oh, you missing out on the dark meat." So you're doing the same thing. And then of course we have, we just talk about so many different topics. I think the tagline, if I can remember correctly, of the movie is freedom occurs when truth meets purpose. And that's important, because for June's character, he basically has to accept his truth, right? He know what his purpose is, but he has to accept his truth and be able to walk in it, right? This corporate 9 to 5 isn't getting me closer to that, so I got to break away from this. And it's the same thing with Fatima, where she's unwilling to accept her truth. Like, she's already, you know, understood her purpose, and she's walking in that. And that's the reason why June is kind of inspired by her. So they kind of need each other in order to both be free. One needs to be able to accept their truth, and the other needs to be able to walk in their purpose. And that's kind of how that came out of that. So you got all of these great topics and there are all of these beautiful things. We even talking about residual income. There's a scene in there where we break down how you can buy a house and then you put money into it to fix it up, and then over a certain amount of years you'll make your money back, and then everything after that is straight profit, and you create a passive income. So all of these things happen within that 1 year that I was off work. But if I had never took that time off of work, I would have never had the time to put into these things.
Wow.
Right? Because work was consuming me so much that by the time I got off, I was depleted. And that's what it does. You know, when you work in corporate, it's literally like this pimp host situation. And you have to figure out whether you're going to be the pimp or you're going to be the host. And in most cases, if you're working at that job, you're making the salary, but you complain all the time. You're depleted by the time you get off. You don't have time to put into your family. You don't have time to put into your dreams, none of that, because they're going to get as much out of you as humanly possible. And if that's the case, and you don't have anything to give, then you're being pimped, right? But if you're taking that check and you're using that check to fund your dreams outside of work, if you're using that check to invest in other things outside of work that can create money for you, and at some point maybe replace your 9-to-5 wages, right? Now you've become the pimp in a sense, and you feel better about yourself. And that's why a lot of times when people are working in corporate, they're upset and they're frustrated because they do feel like the hoe in that situation, like they're being used.
Yeah, and they're not stepping into their purpose and living the truth. Project 8 is so powerful, from the number 8 and showing the financial freedom and just freeing yourself from that 9-to-5 that's holding you back so much from your greatness. How did you step into your purpose and figuring out the pieces to this puzzle?
Black woman, right? So when we moved, at first it was my wife, Black woman, period. You know, that's the reason why it's so important for people like me and that dude that was in Royal Purpose to get in line with the people that we came from, right? Black woman is the closest thing to God. So she was the one who gave me that courage and told me, like, get out, do your thing. It don't mean you ain't a man. You've been holding us down for all of these years. Do what you got to do. So that was the biggest thing. But the other big thing for us is that when we were living in California, we bought our first house in 2014, right? And we had lived there from 2014 all the way up until the end of 2017. And in that time, that property had accumulated over $100,000 in equity, right? So we were like, hold on, wait, we made this much money off the sale of this house. You know, this was right before we moved back to Michigan, and we didn't even try. So imagine if we are more strategic about buying property and figuring out what areas to buy in where, you know, it'll appreciate faster, or, you know, getting a rental property and getting some good tenants and getting residual income, or, you know, investing in certain stock, this, that, and the third, looking at marketwatch.com to figure out what new IPOs are hitting the market. It was just a way for us. We just figured out how to be more strategic. And that was already happening before I walked away from the job, right? So in working that job, I had sort of forgot about all of these things that I knew I wanted to try to get to, but the job was in my way. So again, I already had the vision, I already had the goals, but the job was literally the only thing standing in my way. So I had to get rid of the job, but I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not had a solid partner who was able to make money as well. And then moving from California back to holding me down, moving back from California to Detroit. Now we don't have to survive off 2 incomes, right? Because California, you know, your mortgage is gonna be like $3,000, $4,000, whatever. Then you get back to Michigan and you talking about $1,000 or less, you know, and just keeping it like that, you know, not trying to get a Tesla or all of these. No, keep your expenses extremely low, right? That way, if my wife wants to say fuck you to her boss, excuse my language, she can do that and walk away. And it changes how you move in that job. And then it takes that stress away also, because you're not working because you have to be there.
Yes. And that is the true mindset to getting to financial freedom, is to being free like that, to not feel like you have to be a slave to society.
Listen, I'm telling you right now, and I be telling my wife all the time, like this last year, because I'm back working now, but now that I'm working, it's a different situation, because they came and looked for me. And I told them in the interview was just as much me interviewing them as they were interviewing me. And I said, hey, am I going to have to work over 40 hours a week? And they was like, no, we promise you, blah, blah, blah. And since I've been working there, there's been one time where things started to get out of hand. And I said, you remember what y'all told me during the interview? I'll walk away. Yeah. And they was like, no, Mr. Tinsley, we'll blah, blah, blah. So it changes because they can even sense that you don't need them. right?
Ooh.
But if somebody, even if we talking about a relationship, if that other person senses that you need them to survive, then they'll take advantage of that, sometimes unknowingly. And even with my wife, the reason why I try to treat her as good as I do and value her the way that I do is because I know, some other nigga will be glad to have her and do
Beautiful.
my job probably better than I'm currently doing it, and take care of my 2 kids. So that keeps me on my toes. And I think whenever we think like that, or at least have that mindset, it prevents us from drowning in complacency.
Yes, because we are the CEO to our life, and you can fire anybody that's not acting right.
Anybody can. And my wife, we've been together, we've been married. Our 9th-year anniversary was August 6th, but we've been together. I met her when I was 19. I'm 36 now. She was 18. College campus. She was a freshman. I was a sophomore. We've been together forever, but I still know that if I ain't doing my job, she can fire my ass.
Come on, Black Love. But she know, and
Yeah.
that's the power in knowing your value. Once you
Facts.
step into your value as a person, just off of knowing your spiritual gifts, knowing your purpose, and knowing the quality you add to life.
Absolutely.
There we go, right
Absolutely.
there.
Hey, listen, I you know what you just said right there. I think we're gonna have to get a sound bite, and I might have to use that as the intro to my next project. You know what I'm saying? Because that's
You
it.
gotta let me know when you are about to create some magic like this, because I would love to be in that magic.
Man, listen, you dope, man. Like I'm telling you right now, I've showed my wife. My wife like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful. Look at her smile, and you dope. So it ain't an honor for me to be on here. I know it's not an honor for you to be. It's an honor for me to be on here and be in your presence. Because again, I just think you way doper than I could ever be, and I appreciate it. So
Man, I appreciate you just so much for this time. This was amazing. You gotta come back on when you available
man,
to
listen,
drop some
listen.
more.
This is the second podcast that I've done. Somebody put the bug in my ear like a month ago, like, man, you need to try to get on some of these podcasts. And I was like, all right. Second one. So thank you for giving me an opportunity. I'm a newbie. I'm like a straight virgin to this, so I appreciate it. And just off the strength of you giving me that opportunity, I'll be on here whenever you reach out.
Oh, I will, because it was so much just want to still talk about, but I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Can you tell us where
Man,
we
my
can
time,
find?
you can take up all of it. But I'll tell you where you can find it. So if you go to Instagram, my Instagram page is Tim Bridge at Tim Bridge Films, right? And if you go on there, within my bio, there's a link that'll take you to all of my other projects, pretty much.
Yes.
I can't remember the exact link tree location, but just go to my Instagram and you can find everything that I've done from there. So
And it's all amazing. Black love, just uplifting the
hey man,
culture and
hey,
educating
that's
us.
all I'm about. You ain't gonna listen. Hold me to this right now. It ain't gonna be nothing outside of black love, black heterosexual love. It ain't nothing against anything else, but that's just what I know, right? So
That's just your truth. You feel
that's
me?
my truth. This ain't no propaganda. This ain't none of that. This is absolute truth. And again, I appreciate you for taking time out to watch those things.
I appreciate. Yes, it was just amazing. All the gems that was just dropped in every film that you have just producing, the quality and just writing. I'm just so impressed off of
Man, you
your work
serious?
ethic.
You got me over here cheesing right now. You got, man, don't be playing with me. You for real?
Yes, because the
Oh
writing is
man.
spectacular too, man. The writing, how, and I love how you get wifey's feedback. Like, what she say this? Because
Yeah.
it was so much more believable too.
You have to, man. Like I'm telling you right now, it ain't nothing like having a great partner. I tell this to my friend. My friend Marcus, who was in 9 months after, he's single right now. And I'm like, man, I ain't trying to really project, brother, but I'm telling you right now, if you had a strong black woman by your side, you wouldn't be having some of these things you're complaining to me about. She'd be helping you tackle them or whatever, But again, it's just the power of being with a black woman who got your back. So
Man, you don't understand how much amazing conversation was, David. Can you please just drop some game to our up and coming black filmmakers and creating content? Just give them some advice real quick.
Man, listen, I'm gonna give you some advice right now, right? This is the first thing that you should do. Take your cell phone, right? I'm sure most of y'all got iPhone 11s. I'm still like at a 6 or 7 or something like that. I'm just one of them type of people to where I ain't changing nothing until they make me pretty
Exactly.
you know, where you download some software and then the phone just don't work no more, so now you got to go in. I'm that person. But if you got an iPhone, an Android or whatever, just start capturing stuff. Just start filming stuff, you know, of yourself, or you know, you don't have to have like a $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 camera. Literally, these phones pack a big punch. So do that, and then, you know, get you a YouTube channel and start putting your stuff up there and start promoting yourself or whatever, and putting it out there, because oftentimes that's the thing that holds us back. Even if we are creating things, we don't want to necessarily put it out there and promote it, you know, and show people what we're doing because of the confidence factor or whatever. So literally get out there, promote yourself, film on whatever device it is you have, even if it's your cell phone, and don't wait on anybody to do it for you. Like, even if you are out there auditioning and doing those things concurrently, you should still be doing your own thing, because at the end of the day, I look at it like this. If somebody were to approach me now, like let's say Warner Brothers, and they were to say, hey, we want you to do whatever, like we want you to do this movie, then my mentality is different than somebody who's desperate and who's depending on that opportunity. So when we're at the table negotiating, I'm trying to get certain things that maybe the other person ain't trying to get. The other folks who just are trying to depend on the opportunity to come to them, they're just thinking about, you're gonna pay, I'll take anything because I would have done this for free. But no, I'm not taking anything. I'm thinking about perpetuity. I'm thinking about equity. I'm thinking about all of these things that are going to help my kids when I'm no longer here. I'm thinking about building a legacy. So it's important not just for you to be trying to make it in somebody else's industry, but concurrently do your own thing. Because even when you get the opportunities in the industry, your mentality will be different when it comes time to negotiate.
And you have not made any excuses with filmmaking whatsoever. So it's no excuse why you can't get it popping out here.
Man, you can get it popping no matter where you at, because again, I'm seeing a lot of films where the backdrop is LA and the backdrop is Chicago, right? But I hadn't seen a lot where the backdrop was Detroit. In fact, the few films that I saw where the backdrop was Detroit, it was the drugs and strip clubs and all of that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it was up to me to sort of provide that balance.
And have your unique voice. Yes, have your unique voice, because the culture needs it, especially in Detroit. The D, come on,
man, come on. The D, because I'm telling you, all you're going to see out of the movies that come out of here is the Cardis and all that. And it's a beautiful culture that we have. But again, I grew up in the hood, but I grew up around people who wasn't of the hood. And I wanted to show them, like the Junes and the Fatimas, Detroit people, but they kind of cool, they fly, they not corny, but they respectful and all of these things, and they want more for themselves, and they ain't out here trying to get over on people or hurt people. So I just wanted to show that, because there was a lot of that when, you know, where I grew up. But what happens is that if you only seeing these negative images, only a certain kind of image being perpetuated from Detroit, then when you go somewhere else in Atlanta and you tell people like, I'm from Detroit, they'll be like, oh shoot, how you make it there? Because that's all they saw in the media. And that's the reason why certain groups of people look at African Americans the way that they do, because of what's being perpetuated in the media. So we have to do a better job of creating and showing those other things that exist, so that we're not monolithic, you know.
Yeah, because the media controls the masses out here.
Yeah, that's just so right. So even the WAP song, it's not even like a thing of this being like, oh, it's bad that they released it. What's bad is that that's the overarching voice and depiction.
You get what I'm saying? What they push.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, they don't have any problem pushing that. Like, let's say Apple, they're okay with women, you know, basically saying that they're going to sell their sex for money or for rent, right? They're okay with black men saying that they're going to kill another nigga and fuck his girl and, fuck somebody raw, and they don't wear, they okay with that, right? But the minute you talk about the Asian community, the minute you talk about the Jewish community, you getting your shit taken straight down.
Yes, anti-Semitic. That's what they call it.
Whatever that means. But what anti-Semitic is that, oh, well, I'm Jewish, I kind of own this stuff. So if I feel offended by what you say, I have a right to fire you. And we can't necessarily look at that as like, oh, you're doing me wrong. We have to look in the mirror and say, damn, what happens if we own shit? Right? You look at the NFL, you look at the NBA, you look at entertainment and who's popping in that. The workers are predominantly black, right? But yet the ownership is of a whole nother race, and that's the issue.
Yes, and we getting coins compared to the dollars that they making off of us.
Absolutely. So if we own certain things, you let a white rapper come along and say something about black women, you fired. I'm going to say you anti-Black, and I don't have to give you a reason or a definition as to why.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the reason why ownership is so important. I'm not mad at the Jewish community for coming down on Nick Cannon. I'm mad that we don't understand the importance of owning so that we can come at people who try to
Come at
do us dirty.
us. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's where how it has to be. We got to control what we put out. We have to write our own stories. We have to make this magic happen. And how you said, I'm not going to complain about it. I'm just going to create.
Just do it. What difference does it make? We put so much into politics. We put so much energy into everything else, and it's all rooted in somebody changing our own reality rather than us doing it ourselves. But that's what people don't want to face, because when you have to look in the mirror and say, "Oh, I'm the reason why I'm not where I want to be," that's a hard conversation. So I'd rather blame it on everything else. Yeah. I'd rather blame it on my boss at this job. I'd rather blame it on Trump. I'd rather blame it on Obama or whomever else, right? And it's not them. It's you.
Yes,
it's you.
Yes, when you have to look yourself in the mirror and realize you are stuck because of yourself. It's not because of your circumstances. You can control your destiny at the end of the day. And I love how you hit on just put yourself out there, promote yourself, but we can really stand in our own way feeling like, oh, it's not good enough. Who cares? You're going to get better with time.
You're going to get better. Like you said, 2018, June, you came out with the first podcast and you said that people was telling you all of these things and reasons why you shouldn't do it, or you don't know anything about podcasting, but you stepped into it. That's the hardest thing. You don't know how many people I talk to who be like, man, I got these ideas, man, but I don't want to create nothing because I need it to be right. I need to have this director of photography. I need to have this, man. Why don't you want to fail? Why don't you want to fail? Yeah. Because that's the only way you're going to get better. You think you're going to learn by succeeding? It's not going to teach you nothing.
Right. And I was just saying, failure does not exist. No such thing as failure. Who is keeping score?
Exactly. I don't look at it like that. I look at it like, oh shit, it's an opportunity for me to get even better. Yeah. Not only that, I don't really do it for, like, when I make these projects, it's not a trend. It's not me trying to impress somebody. I'm doing it for me. It's cathartic. It's therapeutic because I've went through these things and now I have to birth it, not comparing it to what a woman does. That's a whole nother thing, but you get what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So I spend all of this time with it, right? And then by the time I let it go to the world, like Project 8, like I cried the day before I released it. Not because I was afraid of what people would think, but because I had spent so much time with it. And now once you release it, it's not yours anymore.
It's your baby, right?
It's not yours, yeah.
When you produce something, it's just a whole nother level of courage that you just took, and just the courageous attitude to just put yourself out there and just the authenticity. I applaud that and I appreciate that. Because you don't know how many people it's gonna touch, man. How many people it is touching.
Your film touched me because I just hadn't seen people being that. Like, your voice is so distinct and it's so pronounced and it's so direct. And for you to come at it like that, where you wasn't sugarcoating nothing, I said, oh my God, this is bad, man. And you created it. you didn't even have, forget all the other stuff about writing, and you created it. Like, that's everything. You had to be the caterer. You probably had to sweep the floor. You had to take out the trash. Anything that it took to get that done, you did it. And I want to see more from you, even if it means I'm going to work, and I know I'm going to work with you, but man, you dope, man. And it's an honor for me to be in front of you because I look at you as a star. So thank you.
Right, we're gonna keep shining out here.
Hey, just let me stand next to you and I'll shine. You know what I'm saying? Because your shine is gonna be bright enough for us and a few other Black stars in the making. So thank you.
Yes, God is just so good. Everything that you were just hitting on, this was just amazing. How just putting yourself out there, just the courage and just the work ethic you are just presenting to the world. I just thank you so much for your bravery and your art.
Thank Bridget Tinsley too, because without her, listen, Bridget Tinsley, I'm gonna say this and this is it. My wife got up today at like 6 something, right? She got our kids ready, right? Because they go to this little camp thing where they still social distancing. There's only a few kids there, but they went to this little camp thing or whatever. But she had to take my son to get a hearing test done, right? Just check up stuff, whatever, right? So she had to drop my daughter off at the camp first, then take my son to get the hearing thing, right? And then she took him back to the camp. So she going across town, doing all of this stuff. And then she hit me up and she said, hey, what do you want from Beyond Juice? What type of smoothie you want? And I said, oh, I want this, blah, blah, blah. And then she gets home and then she works out and then she goes to work, right? But she did all of this stuff, which I typically would be helping her because she wanted me to be prepared for the meeting I had with you today. So I say all that to say a partner is crucial, and we so in sync that I don't even have to tell her what I need. Most of the time I don't.
Man, I thank you, Bridget, so much for holding
Bridget
it down,
Hanson.
Queen. Gotta let it be known the last name. You got it. He's a character.
Man, listen. I was so happy when she changed her last name to mine. It happened a year after we got married, too. Because she's Dr. Tinsley. So I was like, hey man, if she don't do it, I understand. I'm just happy. I just feel like I won a lottery. You know what I'm saying? And then she came back a year later, showed me that license. I said, oh man, like it's huge when somebody does it because they want to do it.
How she did that, just the small things that she did throughout your day, and you just take notice of that because she did it with so grace, not complaining about what she had to do. And that just shows the power and just the superpowers women have, because balance of family, your husband, and your work life.
Your work life. And that stuff that she did, she ain't supposed to do just because she a woman. She's a whole dentist with a whole career. So when we had these kids before that, 50-50 was expected. So when you get married, foreplay and all that other superficial stuff that you see on these Love Jones movies on TV where I'm laying in bed and kissing on your neck. It ain't foreplay. Is when somebody says, hey, I know you're tired. I know you need a break. I'm gonna take these kids to the park for an hour.
Yeah.
That's foreplay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The little stuff that she did, bringing me the smoothie, knowing that I had this, appointment with you and that I was nervous and wanted to be, that's foreplay. So it matters so much. Yeah, because she don't have to do it. That's
that
like
just make you fall in love even more just off of a person's character like that. She
absolutely
got character.
Yeah. Character. When you tired yourself, but you willing to give your husband or your wife a break because you see that they need it and they don't even have to ask for it.
Yeah, that's just the sacrifice. And that's why I want to teach my sisters exactly what Bridget is living by, example like that.
Bridget, man, I'm telling you right now, her name is _DDS. And listen, hopefully she could be on the show at some point too, man, because she's embarking on this journey to open up her own practice. So I'm proud of her.
Oh, I would love it. Let's set it up.
Hey, listen. You just say the word and I'm gonna do it. She'll come on here looking all cute and all that with a little natural curly hair. I'm telling you, it'll be dope, man.
I gotta fit in Doctor's schedule. I know wifey busy. I gotta just squeeze in there. Just give me 10. Just give me 10.
She'll be on here like, how much longer is no? She'll be honored to be on here, man. She'll be like I said, she's a fan of you too. And when I was watching your movie, she was watching it with me, and she was like, "Yo, I didn't expect this, man." Hey, y'all, if y'all out there listening, y'all go to Amazon Prime and y'all rent or buy Royal Purpose.
Thank you.
Project 8, do Project 8 after first.
Yes, Project 8 too.
17 minutes long. That's it, but it's gonna go by fast.
Oh, thank you. That's why we have to support our Black films out here, so we can just continue making more. We need it.
I'm about to buy the book. I'm buying a book as soon as we get off the phone. I just ain't had a chance. I'm buying a book too. Best believe I'm gonna have the next meeting we have. We gonna be sitting there like going through it, studying it like a professor and a student. And I'm gonna be asking you these questions.
Yes, but please let me know when you're available for another conversation like this, because I would love to just dive deep more. Well, I appreciate you, and thank you guys so much for tuning in to another Take the Lead podcast. We're gonna be back at it with another one.